Hey everyone, I hope everyone had a good week of training. You probably are noticing right now that you aren't seeing my beautiful, attractive, immaculate face right now, and that's because I'm just making this a voiceover because I have my SD card already in my computer, and I just want to make the editing go a little bit quicker for this weekly update. If you don't mind the voiceovers, and if you don't think they take away from the video, let me know, because they are just a little bit easier to do since I can record the audio directly onto the program and I already have it synced up on there without having to load the file or whatever on there with it, and it makes the video a bit smaller as far as the file size, so it would be a little bit easier, but I'm open to doing either way, so it doesn't make much of a difference to me. It's whatever preference you may all have. But let's talk about my week of training for a little bit, since that is the point of the weekly update videos. So this week went really well. I think I was very aggressive with all my lifts. Just about every day this week I had, I'm trying to think, well, four heavy days. So my 4 days of lifting, I didn't do any accessory days because of the intensity of my lift. So I started on Monday with squats. I was originally planning on doing a set of 5 with 375, but I felt really good that day, so I did 2 sets with 375, and so that kind of started out my week of just being uber aggressive with everything that I was doing. So that was the big part of my Monday workout, was being aggressive with the squats that I did. And then I moving on to Wednesday, I believe, with my second workout. I did heavy front squats, at least heavy for me, with 275 for 3 sets of 3, and I was pausing my last rep on those 3 sets. And I was doing that because I was watching some Clarence Kennedy videos, and I was getting extra motivated to do some pause reps with it. And I was super jacked up on caffeine. Whatever, I drank the same amount of coffee as I always do, and it just like hit me extra hard that day. So I was just like fighting to like rest for like a minute in between sets, and not just going immediately back into doing another set after like 10 seconds of rest, because I was pretty darn hyped up. So front squats went well that day, and I just did some other cleans as well. That was the other big thing on that day. I worked up to 250, which is really heavy for me as far as cleans go, or their power cleans. So that I might be the heaviest I've ever done a power clean with. But they were pretty ugly reps with 250, but I was able to get them up, and I just need to continue to work on them. I wanted to do that to kind of just do some heavy cleans. I haven't done some since I did those crazy 265 ones that looked really bad, and those were full cleans, I think, back then. But anywho, so I had those, and cleans, beat you up a little bit too. So I had all that fun shenanigans. I also had bench, and I did that. Geez, I don't even remember. It's so hard to recall the different dates of the week, but I had bench press as well. I did some of that yesterday, and I did some earlier in the week. I believe I had 2 bench pressing days and a push press day, and then today I did some overhead press. On the bench press that I had yesterday, I worked to 275, and I did a pause rep and rep, kind of. I was hoping to do more than 3, and I was able to get 4. I almost got 5, but I got kind of stuck, and Justin, my lifting friend, was able to ease the weight a little bit off that, or take a little bit of the weight off at the top portion of it where I have a tendency to get stuck. So I think that's a PR for bench press. I don't know, it seems like everything I do has been a PR lately, since it's hard to keep track of all that stuff when I'm just lifting more than I had before for more reps. So pretty much everything I do seems like it's a personal best of some sort with that. But that puts me in a good spot for my bench press as far as the 1 rep max calculators go. I believe it puts me close to 300 for my max. Based on that, I think, if I'm just going off the top of my head as far as that goes. But I'm definitely happy with that. I nearly got 5, which would have been really good with that. And I'm just happy with how my bench has been moving. And I think it's just my shoulders are getting stronger, and I just need to continue to work on the triceps and get those to be a stronger part of my lift as well, because they're going to be the limiting factor, since I'm doing a ton of shoulder stuff to help with my bench as well as my weightlifting stuff. And on the day, so yesterday I did some deadlifts, deficit deadlifts. I worked up to 465, and I did that I was originally like a psychopath. I wrote 3 sets of 5, and I did my first set, and I was just like, I did 3, I set it down, I'm like, I am completely insane. I don't know why I write this stuff down, but and actually the reason I do that, so like with my programming, I'm so aggressive with what I put, and I pretty much write stuff down going, there's like no way I'm going to do this, but if by some miracle I do, it'd be really cool, but like there's no way I'm doing all this volume. But the reason I do that, and I've done that for a while as far as my programming, even when I wasn't doing anything like official, when I was just doing random stuff, like I'd always plan to do too much, because then you could always cut stuff down. Very rarely, Monday was a very special exception when I added the extra 375, but very rarely will I ever add extra stuff to do, unless it's like really light accessories. But very rarely am I, like I'm gonna do another set of squats, or I'm gonna do extra deadlifts or something like that. But if I put, like for instance, that 3 sets of 5, if for some reason I felt really good and did those 3 sets of 5, that would have been great. But if I would have did 3 sets of 3, I would almost certainly have not done 3 sets of 5, even if I would have felt great with it. So with that, I'm able to cut stuff down, and I don't hold myself to those things I write down strictly. I adjust it based on how I feel on that day, or if something hurts, or whatever. That even today, in the vlog, I talked about my squats and overhead pressing, which are my 2 big things that I wanted to get done today. And I was basically I went in with like no plan almost. I just wanted to do those 2, and I wanted to get some work in with them. But my shoulder was feeling kind of stanky, and my back and leg was feeling kind of stanky as well. But I was just like, I'm going to see what I can do today. And even when I was there, do my warm-ups, I kind of wrote down what I was going to do or what I planned on. And I was like, well, we'll see how this goes. And I got up to that weight, and I even adjusted it to then. I think I was worked at 355, and I cut it down to 335, and I made them pause reps with that. So I adjusted it, and I threw on a belt too. I did a bunch of different things, and I do a lot of that, so it's hard for me to like when I write down what I'm going to do in the week, very rarely is it that itself. And another thing I do with my programming quite a bit is, for instance, I'm trying to think of what I did recently. I think with the front squats, that's a good example. The front squats and cleans, I believe I also had deadlifts on that day, as well as snatch balances. I put a ton of stuff on there. One of the limiting factors of why I didn't do all that was just time, which is actually kind of a good thing for me, because I would literally just be in the gym for like 4 hours and do everything that I have written down if I had the time. But because I don't, because the gym closes at 9, it forces me to move a little bit quicker, and to have to cut things out and to just put them off to the next day, which is I'm finding to be beneficial to do. So I'm not killing myself every time I go in there. So I'm doing a little bit less volume, but spread out a little bit more. So with that, I had the front squats and the cleans on Wednesday, and then I believe I took Thursday off, and then on Friday last night, or I definitely did take Thursday off because I lifted last night. On Friday, I went in and did the deadlifts as well as the snatch balances. So I'm essentially doing the same volume. I'm just spreading it out more. And what gets pushed away is any sort of extra accessory work, little things like that. I still try to do some arm stuff and like hit my triceps, because that's a weak point in my bench. But I really don't do any sort of leg accessories. I talked a little bit about doing more of those before, but essentially if I have such a high volume, adding any of that stuff in is just going to just destroy me just a little bit more. But if I find that, for instance, my shoulder is all jacked up, or I'm trying to think of, because usually when I'm really achy, I can't do accessories anyway, and if I feel really good, then I do more of the main lifts with it. But I'm trying to add more of those days, and I know next week when I do my lifting, I won't be nearly as aggressive as I was this week, so I probably will do more accessory work, or I'll attempt to do more accessory work during the week, because it will allow me to just do more net volume with less intensity with each workout. And when the intensity is high, I just don't have the ability or really the desire to be doing hack squats or back extensions or pull downs or whatever other random things I may try to do, or any dumbbell stuff. But it's something I'm trying to be more consistent about, and even if it's every other week, it's better than what I have been doing before as far as accessories go, since I'm one to just do my main lifts and then say I'm done and go home, and then I'm sore and I feel like I lifted because I did, but I'm not working on all the little imbalances that will help in the long term with that. And I will end on this point here. It's kind of random, but I was thinking about my hack squats and the last time I did them. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last video, but I played with the stance a little bit, and I was thinking of old Tom Platz clips when he was doing hack squats, how he said he'd always have his seat really narrow and then try to go as deep as he could. And while the depth thing I never had an issue with, I pretty much, when I do hack squats, I'd have the same stance as I would when I normally squat. But then I try to just with them, just put my feet together and squat down. And it actually, I mean, it made it more difficult, obviously, because the range of motion was a little bit longer. But actually, the next day, my hips were a bit sore, and both hips, not just my bad one, but the other one as well. So it's something I want to add in more, because I think that working on the strength of my hips in that, or the way that it puts a little more focus on my hips, will be beneficial to when I'm doing squats with my normal stance with that. A little bit more beneficial than doing hip abduction and adduction with those, since it's more specific and I can load up that quite a bit more with it. And I just don't really like doing hip adduction and abductions. They're just really boring. A lot of the really light accessory stuff is just really, really boring to do, and I ain't about that life, because I don't do the bodybuilding lifestyle, although I just try not to get fat. That's about the extent of my bodybuilding desires, is to not be fat and to have abs. And as long as I got those, then I'm good to go. My body weight's been fluctuating a little bit. It's sitting around, in the morning it's closer to 205. After working out or whatever, it's usually closer to 207. So I'm going to be doing a little tiny bit, not hardly anything. I'm just going to, instead of like 2 sandwiches at lunch, I'm going to eat 1 during the week, and I should probably I will probably lose a couple pounds, or at least sit closer to about 204, which would be my ideal weight to sit at. But I'm really, I'm not worried about my physique or anything right now, and training's going really well, so I don't want to make any sort of drastic changes as far as my diet goes, but just eat a little bit less and do a little bit more cardio, and just keep up the accessory work, because that will help with that as well, and just to keep training real hard, because that's what I'm good at and all of that stuff. So I'll wrap up this video here. If you have any thoughts or comments, if you hated the voiceover style of this video, or if you just hate me in general, leave that down below. Or if you absolutely love me and everything that I talk about, and you think I am Jesus Christ reincarnated, let me know about that down below as well. And anything in between, I don't care. Don't even leave that down below. But seriously, let me know what you think in the comments down below. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day.